All right, welcome amazing agents across the U.S. Today is the 12th of February, 2015, and this is actually our 12th Mastermind call. So thank you all for coming on. And we have to just, I'll pump up my partner's ego a little bit. We'll let Carl start off the call. Carl, if you would, repeat the compliment you paid Chad before we got started.
Okay, everything but everything is a mindset. And when you've got the right mindset, the world is at your feet. Chad has got the mindset that he's sharing with me, and both of us are climbing the ladder to a higher and higher mindset and higher possibilities. Chad, thank you so much.
Yep. I'll send you a check, Carl.
That's our blurb for coaching. Chad and I are talking about putting together I don't know if you guys know my background. I sold real estate for 30 years. I coached for Mike Ferry. I was an investor when the market crashed. I had over 100 rental properties in Florida. I have a short sale company, and this was just kind of this whole business, this probate, was born out of a need that I saw all these lead generation companies that were basically charging an arm and a leg for pretty stale buyer leads, and I just sort of asked the question, what if I could find a way to produce highly motivated seller leads? And I got a few smart partners like Chad, and 2.5 years later, we figured it out. So we're kind of overnight successes here, but we just hit our 100th subscriber, so I really thank you guys that are here. I don't think we have any seasoned people so far. Who just signed on from Central Florida, area code 321?
Paul Hayhurst.
Paul!
There he is.
Just as I was saying, we didn't have any seasoned people. Paul signs on. Paul, I don't think I've ever been in a conversation that I didn't mention you. Paul, first month, sent out 160 letters and got 5 or 6 listings, and he never looked back. So any new wins to report, Paul? Any good things happening, or was that a one-shot wonder?
Well, it was a beginner's luck, maybe a little bit, but I'm kind of running into a problem that I'd like to talk about, really, and that's attorneys.
Okay.
I got kind of screwed out of a listing by one the other day, and I need to figure out a way to crack the code of getting through with these attorneys.
Okay. Now, how did you figure you got screwed out of it? You were going to get it, and then the attorney recommended someone else?
Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, the personal representative, we had a really good rapport. She likes me a lot. But, it's kind of weird. The personal representative wanted a price on this house to get it sold quickly. So, my opinion of value letters kind of reflected that and was priced maybe, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 lower than what the house could have possibly sold for. And that's the reason the attorney used. He told her that I was lowballing the price and we need to use somebody else. And there was something in the will that allowed the attorney to override the personal representative. So that's the best explanation I got out of it.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll let Chad answer that, but I would say I think it was more than beginner's luck. I think you're good at what you do. You got 6 listings your first month. That's the first time I've heard that happening. We've actually found the reverse to be true with a few of our agents, that they've actually had as good a success prospecting the attorneys as they have the PRs. Now, you contacted the personal representative, and you didn't ask. You didn't call the attorney and ask for permission. The attorney just kind of butted in, right?
Well, yeah. That's how that worked. No, I've just been contacting personal representatives. Now, some of those PRs are attorneys, and I've been sending them letters, but I've got like 0 response from any letters to an attorney. And I spoke with this attorney early on in the process, and I don't know how that one kind of slipped out of my fingers. But
did you include him on all the value, your market analysis and everything?
No, I just sent it to the PR, which I'm pretty sure she forwarded on to him.
Well, I mean, I was going to suggest that you did talk to him up front, but you said you did that. I think that, is Sandra Marconi on the call?
No, I think Sandra's on her way back from the convention.
Oh, that's great. So Sandra has put together a package that she was going to share with us, and get it. She was out of town and sick last week, but she put together a brochure, and she initially thought she was going to send that to the executor, but what she's doing is actually sending that to the attorney as kind of a credibility kit on the front end. And we're very close to being able to provide those for you guys. We've got credibility kits and websites and business cards and things that you can just, slightly customize and ship. We can get it printed for you. It can show up at your doorstep ready to go. And when you have one of those conversations, I think, the more you tie the attorney in on the communication, the more you're stroking his ego and making him feel included in the whole process. And there's some guys that just want their buddy to have the business probably, but so I think you did the right things with the wrong guy. I don't think that you'll see that on every attorney deal. But I think one thing you might have done different was include him on that original email to the buyer, showing your valuation and why you came in at that based on the conversation you had with her. But he could be doing it because he gets paid more money if the house sells for more money. And
well, what about, is this going on? It probably is. Don't you think these attorneys have real estate agents that they know and they're getting referral fees from these agents?
Yeah, and they legally can. So they don't have to have a real estate license. As an attorney in most states, you're considered a broker. So they can accept referral commissions, and if that's happening, there's not much you can do about it other than step in and take that agent's place.
Try to participate. So that's the other marketing that needs to be done is contact these attorneys and say, hey, I sell a lot of real estate. I can assist these people in a lot of ways besides selling it with personal belongings and whatnot. But how do we get to work together? Is the question.
Yeah, I still think personal networking is going to be the best approach with attorneys, and I don't have much experience with it because I don't have the opportunity in my market. But I still think the best approach is, get face-to-face with somebody. That's the top of the communication pyramid, face-to-face interaction. And it's going to beat direct mail and email and phone calls every time. Walk in. And I raised $40 million one time as a 24-year-old as the market was imploding and all Wells Fargo and GMAC ran for the hills. We had a condo project finishing up. And I made it a point to sit in the bank lobby until the president would see me. And I did that at 4 banks and raised $40 million. And I think that's kind of the approach that I would take here if it were attorneys. I don't care about the gatekeeper. He's coming in and out of his office at some point. Go sit there and work from your laptop until he comes by and talks with you. I mean, it's you might have to be relentless at it, but I think if you get face-to-face and really show him what you're doing, you're going to be doing a better job than the guy he's currently sending business to.
Now, Paul, out of all the deals you've done, that's the first time that's happened, correct?
Well, that I know of.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say that, what I'm hearing from most of the agents I talk to when they call the attorneys, most attorneys are pretty reluctant to recommend anybody because they don't want it to reflect badly on them if it doesn't go well. So I usually tell people, make your contact with the personal representative. You don't need the attorney's permission. Get the listing if you can. Then reach out to the attorney and build a relationship with the attorney for long-term referrals. But you don't need to build a long-term relationship with the executor. It's a one and you're done. With the attorney, you're probably not going to gain his confidence on the first contact. You're going to have to keep after him. Another thing a couple of people have told me that is, I forget who it was. We had one of our clients that called the seller and told him the attorney told him to call. Then he'd call the attorney and tell him his seller had told him to call, which I liked his creativity. But one thing that I walked away with that conversation that I thought was good, if you call Bob Johnson, attorney, and say, this is Carl Feldman, realtor, you're going to get a gatekeeper. If you call Bob Johnson, attorney, and say, Mr. Smith asked me to call about his probate, you're probably going to get through to the attorney. Mm-hmm. So reference a particular transaction if you are calling them. And, you can just say, Mr. Smith is considering having me handle it, or he's decided to have me handle it. Just want to introduce myself, and I see that you do a lot of probates. That's another thing, guys. When you look at your leads, we're finding that probably half your leads are going to be done by a half a dozen attorneys. So identify who those players are, and those are the ones you want to market to. You don't have time to market to every single attorney.
Jim, how do we? That doesn't come with our leads, does it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does, Betty. It does.
Where are those?
The very last column. The very last. Unless you're like Chad in Virginia. If you're in Virginia or Louisiana, which are commonwealths, they don't use attorneys. But the other 48 states, the very last column of data should be the name, address, and phone number for the attorney.
Well, do you think I'm not getting that? Because I didn't see it on my Vulcan leads. I've just been calling the personal rep.
That's why we encourage you, go. Most of the data gets loaded into Vulcan, but it's mostly the pertinent data that you need to prospect. So go to the back end of your website and click on the very back on the back end of your website. You sign in under the members area, go all the way down to the bottom, and there's going to be links to the Excel spreadsheet for your data. All the data will be in there. You've got more data there than you could ever use. There's like 28 different columns of data, and that's where you'll typically find the attorney information. I don't know if it's being loaded into Vulcan. I'll find out for you.
I don't think it is. So
It should be, Betty, but it may be in a notes field somewhere, or like not in the contacts field. I do know that we are pushing everything we get to Vulcan. I haven't seen how they provide it to you guys, but check the notes field maybe and see if you're overlooking it. But again,
I'll look there, and then I go to the.
If you go to all the leads and then go log in under the members area, you can always go back there and grab your current list.
Okay, so it goes to all the leads as well as Vulcan.
Yes.
It goes to the members, to the back end of your website. All of your data will be posted. It's usually the very last entry on the bottom will be your most recent data.
Good.
All right. Does anybody? We're kind of going in reverse order. Does anybody? I know we got a lot of newbies and first-time people in the call. Does anybody, other than Paul Hayhurst, who's actually using? Is there anybody else that's actually using the leads right now that's gotten your first set of leads?
Yeah, Carl here. I've got two. I'm working on a second set.
Oh, Carl, great. And how are you, we have such a variety of the way, we recommend you send at least one letter and then you call everybody. How are you prospecting them? Are you doing both?
Well, I've got a series of 3 letters that are going to be going out, and I've just gone into Sly Broadcasting, where I've got 10,000 numbers that so I've got to put my campaign together on that.
Okay. So you haven't started making phone calls yet?
I made some calls,
okay.
But it takes time and effort and energy, and to get other people to do it, to make the calls, is very difficult.
Yep.
Everybody's busy in their whirlwind of activity, and to get them to sit down and focus is very difficult.
David Bryan in South Carolina, it doesn't look like he's on the call. Are you on, David? No. First call he's missed. He's actually got a team of assistants that are making the calls for him. I know in the first 2 weeks, getting on the phone, how many appointments did he set, Chad?
He was on, and Carl did this too. I mean, they're on a 10-to-1 ratio. So for every 10 phone calls, they were getting listing appointments.
Wow, that's phenomenal. One other thing you said, Carl, that I wanted to make the group aware of, we are no longer recommending Call Loop as your automated calling service. We made an agreement yesterday with Sly Broadcast, and Sly Broadcast is going to give you, if you go to the back end of our website later today, there'll be a link there. If you register for Sly Broadcast through our site, they're going to give you 100 free leads, 100 free calls to get started. And 2 reasons we made the switch. We've had some customer service complaints with Call Loop, but that's what prompted me to look into it. But Sly Broadcast now is the same price. It's 5 cents a call, and it completely bypasses their phone. Their phone doesn't even ring. It delivers a message directly to their voicemail. So it's a much better product for the same price. And Chad, you've had very good experience using them, right?
Yeah, that's why I mean I've used them. I've used VoiceCast. They have the same technology, but it's a way more complicated system. So I think that's the best automated telemarketing solution in the marketplace right now.
On Sly Broadcasting, do they know what time you've called? Can you call like at 6 o'clock in the morning and they don't know you called in?
You can set it to call whenever you like. I'm assuming though that
it actually shows up, Betty. So you can send yourself a test from their website, and you'll see like it'll come into your inbox. And say,
I just got a $1 million listing on Sly Dial.
Yeah.
So
it'll work exactly the same, just on a mass scale. So instead of one at a time, you can do 10,000 at a time.
This is worth the price right there, just learning that little tip.
Yeah. You make 1,000 phone calls for what? The $50? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculously efficient way to prospect. And and again, we've said this before, guys. If you're getting 30 leads a month, get on the phone yourself and call them. If you're like Carl and you're getting 1,000 a month, any contact is better than none. Automate it, so at least you know those calls are going out and people are going to listen to their voicemail, and if they're interested, they're going to call you back. What questions, guys? We got a good attendance. There's about 35 of us on the call today. Does any of the people that have not used it, or any of you guys just getting started? Are you hitting any roadblocks? Anything the group can help you with? Nobody? We got a quiet group. Somebody must have a question. We've got Betty, Dave. I'm going to pick on you a little bit, Dave, because I know you're a big producer and you got a team. Dave, Janice, have you started to use the leads yet?
So it's a great question. I've got them, and I've been scared to call them for whatever reason, which is kind of goofy. And I listened to the audio that you had on the website, the script practice, and I don't know if I listened the wrong way or something, but it didn't sound like it addressed probates. And so I'm having trouble. The intro call, I just wonder what you guys are starting out with.
So Carl Feldstein and I actually spent about an hour role-playing last night, and I kicked my butt for not recording it. I mean, if you want to put yourself on the spot, we can go through an initial conversation.
Yeah, sure.
Carl, you want to play?
Yeah, here I am. I'm here.
All right. Ring, ring.
Hi, this is Carl Feldstein. Who's speaking?
Hey, Carl. This is Chad Corbett with Corbett Real Estate Advisors. I sent you a letter this week, and just wanted to follow up, make sure you received that, and you understood why we reached out.
A letter? I got so many letters coming in. It was a letter on what now?
Okay, well, fair enough. I know we get a ton of mail too. So I'll just start. We're a local real estate team, and we reached out to you because through our research, we think you might have inherited a property, or you're the executor of an estate. Yeah. So you did get the letter?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you about us and why we reached out. I know it's kind of unorthodox, but we've built a team specifically around helping people in your position. We understand the unique challenges that executors face. And how far into this are you? Have you hit? Are you overwhelmed right now, or are you finding it simple? Is it something you've had to do before?
Well, this is the first time. I've got a real problem, and there's three of us, and it seems like all of us are want to go in different directions. I don't know how to handle this. A lot of tension between my brother and my sister.
If you don't mind my asking, Carl, are you the only executor, or are there co-executors on the estate?
I'm the executor, but it's like the money question has caused a lot of problems with the relationship. I have no idea how it's so fouled up like it is right now.
Yeah, well, it never ceases to amaze me how people change when something like this happens. But One thing's for sure, Carl, your mom and dad or whoever appointed you as the executor, as they did it for a good reason. I mean, they knew that the right person would be at the helm and that this might be a possibility. So, sorry you're going through that, but we've got a ton of experience with it. That's one of the biggest reasons we're very selective with which attorneys we work with, because we do hit a lot of title issues and complicated family law issues. So the attorney is just one part of our team. We also have contractors, clean out crews. We can help you sell the home quickly for cash and close in a week, or we can help you, even go as far as completely flip the property and get top dollar for it. So it really just starts with us having a really thorough understanding of what your needs are, what your challenges are, and then we can kind of make some suggestions. Do you think that we would be able to get together, all of us, me, you, and the other siblings? Is a relationship?
Well, I tell you what, Chad, I sure would love to, because this is driving me crazy. The first time I've ever had this kind of a problem with my brother and sister. If I can get them all together and you can help me get this resolved, where I'm not the bad guy, I would love it.
Okay. Well, Carl, I've got I want to put something down tentative, and I realize you have to talk to them and see what their schedule is. But do you think if we look at, let's say, next Wednesday at around 3:30, could you get everybody there for a meeting at the house?
I'm going to do my best, because basically you're going to be taking me out of the hot seat and let the committee make the decision, rather than saying that sibling rivalry where there's competition. I want to get out of that.
Okay. So I've got you down for 3:30. I've got the address is 123 Walnut Street, so I'll meet you there. And just make sure you get a hold of the brothers and sisters today. If there's communication issues, feel free to give them my information. But we got you down for 3:30. And if it's okay with you, before we jump off, let me just ask you a few more questions about the house. So when I'm doing my analysis, I can, give it the fair due diligence and have actual numbers and figures to talk about when we all meet. Does that sound good?
Sure. That sounds good.
Okay. And then break script, I go into the seller counseling sheet where we ask all the questions about the house: bedrooms, baths, square footage, repairs, upgrades, things like that. So Carl is amazingly good at knowing what sellers say. That conversation
that was really realistic, both of you guys.
Yeah.
So some of them are going to go that way. Some of them are going to be a single executor who doesn't quite understand why the hell you would go through public records to find that. And really, that's the number one thing I suggest when I coach somebody on this is get your why straight. Like get rocks like crystal clear on why you're involved in probate. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, that will just roll off your tongue in 10 seconds or less. You'll completely diffuse that, and you'll be the only realtor in the world now, because they know you're doing it to help them. You're not an ambulance chaser.
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference in my experience in Florida, I have yet to meet anyone face to face, because Mom and Dad passed away down here, and the heirs are scattered all over the country. So for me, it's a conference call, and I email the paperwork out. That's what I love about probate listings. You don't even have to go on an appointment. If you're in an area like Florida or California, in rural Virginia, people have been there for generations, and typically, Chad, you meet them face to face. They're right in the area, correct?
Right, and that's why I always make it a point. Do not go on a listing appointment with the executor only. If there are other heirs, even if they're not co-executors, make them show up, or make them tell you in writing that they don't care about the decision, because people do change their minds, and if they feel left out, they can stop the sale completely and really rip a family apart. So I try to make sure everybody gets there and everybody hears what I say one time, and then everything tends to go smoothly. So,
excellent, Dave. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you'll really be surprised, guys. I've been doing this for for about 9 months now, going on a year. I have yet to have anybody get upset with me. I mean, I know Chad's had one or two, but and we've talked about this on previous calls. It's usually been at least a couple months since the person passed away, so it's really you're not following the ambulance to the house. They've usually had a bit of time to grieve, and they're just in the stages now where they're beginning to consider what to do. And I think this bears repeating on every call. One of the reasons these leads have such a good shelf life, it's been my experience that virtually all of these people are not planning on taking any action until the probate's completed. It just never occurred to them, or they don't think they can do anything until the probate's completed. So one of the first things I tell them in a letter and on the phone is in most cases, you can't transfer title until the legal part of the probate is done. But we can certainly get it on the market now, market it, use this downtime, and chances are by the time the legal work is done, we're going to have a buyer ready to close. So it's a real good way to get them to take action. And most of them, vast majority of these people, I don't think I've run into anybody yet who's been listed. Have you, Chad? Have you run into a lot of them or any of them that have already been listed by the time you called them?
Yeah, we get them here and there, and I think what it is, it was listed way before the death. It's typically what I see if they are listed or they've already been sold. And I don't think Imran's on the call. In Brooklyn, he's seen the same thing. Like, the family is, when mom or dad goes to a nursing home, they'll go ahead and list the property, and that's what happens. 9 times out of 10, if it's listed or sold, it was lit. If you look at the history and you look at the date of death, it was actually listed before the date of death. So they were just planning ahead. They said, well, Dad's probably not going back. Let's just go ahead and get this moved so we can pay the nursing home bill.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that. I mean, it's the list. No list is perfect, and there's going to be a number of them on there that have listed, a number that have already sold by the time you come around, because they might have known what was the inevitable was happening 6 months before, and you get a list, and so you'll learn. I think the most important thing is and the analogy I use is it's easier to steer a moving truck. So Dave, I think the most important first thing you can do is anything. Whether it's pick up the phone and make that first call, or send your first voice broadcast, or send your first direct mail. The most important thing is anything. So, and if you want, Dave, if you or your ISA, your team, if you want to call me and kind of go through some role play, I'm happy to do that with you. You can find me on the Facebook page, or I can get your information and give you a call, and we can kind of go through some of that. There's also on the back end of the member site or on the Facebook Mastermind group, you can download the file as campaign outline _scripts. Mm-hmm. And I've just kind of broadly outlined an inbound script and an outbound script that I use, and I would say 8 out of 10 conversations will follow those two. The inbound is different than the outbound. When you do, and that's something to mention, guys, when you do a voice broadcast, be careful, because if you've got a list of 1,000 people, you're going to get 20, 30, 40 phone calls in a matter of minutes if you do it all at once. And you can really overwhelm yourself and get leads fall through the crack. So you can segment your list and do it in chunks of 100 and be able to handle that. Because if you don't, especially if you don't have a team, if you get 20 listing leads in a day, that's, you're spending the rest of the week digging out. So don't go too big if you're in a market that has, a massive list. And then also when that phone rings on the automated campaign, when they get a voicemail, there a lot of times, for whatever reason, people won't listen to the message. They'll call you back and say, I just had a missed call. Who is this? And you just got to kind of, just have the mindset, okay, I just sit down and individually made 500 phone calls or 100 phone calls. And you say, oh, this is Chad Corbett. I actually called you because we were following up with people in the area that have recently inherited properties. We see a big need in the marketplace for a professional realtor that can really understand and help you deal with those problems. Do you guys have a home that you recently inherited? And they'll soften up a little bit and then just start layering in value about who your team is, why you built your probate team, your attorney, your clean-out guy, your estate sale company. Start layering in that value, and the conversation will soften. 2 minutes in, they're your best friend. But they will be a little bit sometimes confused or defensive on the front. because they hadn't listened to the voicemail and they're just returning a missed call, and they're kind of confused that their phone didn't ring and they missed the call. But so I think mastering that front end diffusion is the key to this. And if I take out the listings that I've rejected, I've been able to list 100% of the callbacks from this strategy. There's some of them that they're not realistic on price, and I'll just follow up with them in months. But usually, if you get your why in place and give them a reason to trust you in the first 20 seconds, you'll go on the appointment, and chances are you'll be the only one there, and they'll think you are the smartest guy they've ever met, or girl.
Do you find it takes more than one call to get an appointment, or are you getting them on the first try?
Yeah, it does. I'll get probably, and consistently with letters or voicemails, every time I run a step in my sequence, I can usually list 2 houses. So if I send a round of mail, I can list 2 houses. If I send a round of recorded voicemails, I can list 2 houses. And that's really what I've kind of noticed. Like on a list of about 100, I can list about 2% of the homes every time, and that's with overlapping months. So that's a list of 100, and I've been doing it in this market for six months now. So I can send out a letter to 500 people or a voice blast to 500 people, and I'll still list 2 houses. And some of them are coming from my September list, and some of them just came from last week's list. So I would say a minimum of 3 direct mail touches. Send 3 letters, and the way we do our mail is in a greeting card envelope with a hand address, so it tends to get opened and not thrown away. So get those 3 letters out there, and the phone campaigns. You can touch somebody with a recorded voicemail for 4 cents. If you buy 10,000 credits for $400 from live broadcast, you have 4-cent phone calls. So you can go all the way back to the beginning of your list and just use a general message. The message I use references the letter because I want them to know, who I am. They can always say, well, who the hell is that guy calling me? They can go back to the letter and see the, kind of my unique value proposition. But my script is usually, hey, this is Chad Corbett. I sent you a letter last week. Just wanted to follow up, make sure you got that, and see if there's any way we can help you and your family with your real estate needs. Please give me a call back at 12345. And by the way, I'm on the phone a lot, so if I don't answer, please leave your name and the property address, and I'll call you back as soon as possible. And I added that last part, kind of that PS in there.
That's good.
So when they do call back, I'm not calling them back blindly. I have a chance to do some due diligence and know what the tax assessment is, know when the death was, and it's a much smoother phone call if they leave me the property address.
Do you broadcast to the same people more than once on this live broadcast?
Yeah, the way my sequence is set up, they actually get six voicemails throughout the campaign over a 90-day period.
How long do you take, Chad, for the letters? Are they sent out every month?
Yeah, I do. The first one goes out the door as quickly as possible. I mail on Fridays for delivery. Delivery is usually Tuesday through Thursday. So I want to get the calls midweek. I'm careful not to order mail like on a Wednesday and have it hit on Saturday when I'm up in the mountains on a motorcycle. So I usually do mail on Fridays, and this is worth talking about. Betty, you and I talked about this last week. So when I set up my mail campaign, because you're going to hit like critical mass at 3 months in, you're going to have 3 campaigns running, overlapping each other. And if you don't systemize it, it's going to get overwhelming. Ask me how I know. So what I do now is I order all my mail. The day I get my list, I order a 3-touch campaign. I put the dates in Google Calendar, and then I put voicemail reminders in my Google Calendar. So it's automated. For the next 3 months, my Google Calendar will pop up and say, hey, Chad, you need to record a voicemail and send it to this list this morning. And I'll set it up. I do my recorded voicemails between 12 and 1 o'clock because that's when most people do not answer the phone. And they're going to think, oh, well, I missed that while I was at lunch. And they'll call you back usually between 2 and 6 that day, they'll call you back. But everything's done on the front end, so it's 30-day spacing, 3 letters, and then I set up all my call dates to try to get the call to hit the day of, or I put the margin out a couple of days. So if I think a letter's going to hit on the 3rd, I might drop the call on the 5th just to be sure that everybody's gotten their letter. And then, set those dates through the calendar for the next 90 days. So nothing falls through the cracks. And when I first started, I was the master of letting those parts fall through the cracks, and I didn't do every touch in my sequence because I just got too busy doing this or doing that. And I've learned that if I just use Slide Broadcast and Google Calendar and do what it says when it tells me to do it, it gets done. So.
And Chad, you can even schedule the Slide Broadcast. You can schedule the calls to go. You just like the mailings. You can schedule the calls to go out the first Tuesday of every month and what to say, and you're done. You can do it one shot if you want.
Yeah, if you want to use the same message every time, which with that very generic message, you could do that. You could schedule all 3 or 6 phone calls, however many you're comfortable with. You can schedule those all at once. So your entire 3-month campaign could take as little as 30 minutes to get set up. 3 months of marketing in 30 minutes, and it's automated.
Do you have to buy so many Slide Broadcasts at the same time? So many calls?
No, you can buy as few as I think 500.
They actually have $10. You can start with $10 if you want. The guy $10 is $10 is 500. You're right. That's correct. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So that's the great thing about that company. There's other companies that have like a $30 setup fee for every call. So if you're doing less than 250, it doesn't quite make sense. But Slide Broadcast is probably the most user-friendly and the best pricing model out there. So you can do a lot with it. I encourage all of you to at least sign up with $10 and give it a shot. Even in other areas of your business, it's great for past client touches. Just call and say, hey, happy President's Day. I bet, you're going to be the only one leaving that message. But just wanted to touch base with you guys, see how you're liking the new home. I've got a great new contractor that we've been working with. If you got any jobs that need done, give me a call, and I'll give you his number.
And by the way, if you wait till that later this afternoon, that link will be on the back end of our site, and use our affiliate link to register for Slide. They'll give you some. I'm not sure how many. I think it's at least 100 free credits to get started and try it, and then you'll be tied to us. It'll kind of be easier to coordinate everything that way. Kim should have that up. Our tech guy should have that up this afternoon. Boy, this call has gone. We usually try to keep them to 30 minutes, but I'm not in a hurry. If anybody else has any questions, this has been a great call. A lot of good information.
Well, I think it's been a great call, and I just love the systems that we were learning. I'm afraid I'm gonna forget everything. Is there a way to, Chad, get your system somewhere written the way you do it?
It's in the campaign outline, so you can grab it off of Facebook. Just go in there and download it. Like my entire strategy for probate is in a Word document. It's probably like 5 pages, but the script, the campaign outlines, how we put it in top producer, everything's there.
Thank you. Good
call, guys. I'm afraid to ask if there's any more questions. Does anybody have a pressing question that didn't get answered? Are we good? All right.
Chad,
Great.
Oh, I was just going to ask one quick question. This is Tammy, and I was just curious, on your appointments, I was just curious, do you generally always meet them at the property?
Do I?
Yeah. For your appointments, I know that the example you gave, you were meeting them at the heir's property address. Is that how you generally do that? Or I know probably each state's a little bit different.
I try to always meet them there because, I know I'm about 80% sure on my valuation until I show up at the house. And sometimes you show up and it's in way better condition than you thought. And sometimes you show up and it's an absolute mess. So if it's an absolute mess and I need to adjust that valuation, I want all the heirs to be there, to be part of that decision. And I want to say, listen, this house needs $40,000 in work. Here's the buyer that I know we're going to sell it to. Like, this is the type of person that's going to buy it. And for that reason, here's how we're going to strategically place you in the market, and here's how we're going to get this home sold. And I want them all to feel like they were part of mainly the pricing, because that's what can really hang you up. And like I said earlier, it can destroy families. You know, if they're like, damn it, Bill, you let him sell it for $20,000 less than it's worth. And Bill knows what I told him in the living room, but Bobby might not because he was at work. So I try to get people there, even if I have to go in the evenings after dark this time of the year. I'll go, sit down, we'll agree on price, and I'll go back the next day or have a runner go back for signs and photography. But it's
okay.
What I've found to be very, very important that you get them all there and make it a group decision.
Absolutely, and that made total sense to me as well. Yeah, thank you so much.
Great call, guys. I think the biggest words of wisdom I took from the whole call, and there was a lot of great ones, was it's easier to steer a moving vehicle. So, guys, if you haven't done anything yet, and I have an extensive coaching background. My homework assignment would be this week, do something. Pick up the phone, start making those calls, send some letters, and you'll have some good questions to ask next week. We appreciate all you guys. If you need anything before next Thursday, give us a call. You got our number. Make it a great week, guys.